Or is this something you see from an amateur artist like myself? Is that you leave gaps from the objects because it makes them stand out more? So like I've left because it makes it stand out more.
It's very classical that.
Or is that just my style?
I think you've definitely been influenced by some of the greats. I like what you've done there with the big white gaps and the
Thank you.
The wee squiggles are good.
Yeah. But like if a 5-year-old looks at this and be like, oh, there's Harlem Wolf.
Exactly. And that's what we're training ourselves against.
I'm nearly there, like. Nearly done, I think.
Do you think this will spark something in you? Creative streak?
Do you know what? It's much more enjoyable when you're copying something.
Yeah.
But if I had to think about this and try and do it, I'd still be doing the first green, I think. I still think I'll go to the driving range on the way home. It's funny, I love my boxing as well. We were chatting earlier on there about just different mindsets, and obviously it's crazy. Like as an individual sport, you're stepping into a ring one-on-one, a contact sport. The mentality that those boys have and the belief that they have in themselves. Like even I was watching 2 lads sparring yesterday and they're friends, and there were 10 rounds, 3.5 minute rounds, and knocking lumps out of each other, and then how do you even get yourself up for doing that? Mentally so strong.
If you were walking into a ring there thinking, this guy's trying to punch me right in the face. But you've done any other types of training when you were playing?
No, like the training's changed massively, since I started 18, 19, trying to do Olympic lifts, clean and jerks. Clean and jerking, stupid weight, and then squatting as much as we could. And now it's very much more rugby specific, so working on your explosive power, and I've got a bad back now for a reason, because 18 years of age trying to squat stupid weights, and not beneficial at all to you. But that, as you know, the S&C world changes. Now CrossFit's in, and something else pops up, and then I'll be back to Olympic lifting. When I started off, the furthest I ran was 150 metres. Now you run at 150 metres at 85-90%, and then you were getting a small rest, and then repeat. But 2 years before that, boys were doing 3Ks, 5Ks. And then it's sort of come full circle again now. The boys are doing longer distances. It's funny.
It's I think you nailed it there by saying rugby specific. There's a lot of training out there that doesn't help or isn't conducive to playing your sport or your position. Obviously for you, lifting big weights is going to be important because you're very physically strong. But say my game of being able to get around the pitch and move more efficiently.
Yeah.
I don't need to be lifting massive weights because I'm trying to avoid contact rather than take it and make it.
Yeah.
So doing that this year, a lot of more functional training, stuff with aqua bags and low weights and a lot of play hold. I think it stood to me then going to play, and then probably less injuries because you weren't.
You must be still lifting weights with those biceps now. Come on. You aren't just on the running track.
Got a big holiday coming up, you see.
This is beach ball probably. I don't know how to save this.
What do you mean?
Gone too far.
No.
Meyler, I think sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
I think I'm done oh, it's a shit. It's cloud over there. Less is more, Steve.
I know. My expectations were too high.
There we go.
You putting the brush down?
Yeah. Putting the brush down.
Right.
While I'm enjoying my coffee.
Watch him sweat. And me.
Get the croissant then.
Right, a couple of questions here from Instagram, was it?
Yeah.
A couple of questions from Instagram.
All PG, are they?
All very wise questions. asking Stephen about his art career. Who would you say is the most naturally gifted opponent you've ever played?
Opponent?
Opponent.
Jeez. Johnny Wilkinson maybe? Who played over in Twickenham. Like, he was obsessive about his training. Like, he used to, when he played for Newcastle, faced a lot of injuries. And stayed there until 10 o'clock at night. It was getting dark. And he was thousands and thousands of balls he plays kicking. And I don't think it was healthy either. Like, he's been on that podcast, the High Performance podcast with Jake Humphreys.
Yeah.
And like, he just talks around in riddles and circles, and you can tell that he's fighting himself like a lot. But maybe that's what made him knock over that drop goal in the Rugby World Cup final, like in 2003. You know, that's maybe why England won the World Cup then, was because of Johnny Wilkinson. So playing against somebody like him, and winning, of course. Tommy Rowe scored a couple of tries that day. It was great. Good night out afterwards as well. So yeah, probably Johnny Wilkinson was one of the most talented, but it's because he worked so hard at it.
Yeah, the podcast you're talking about, he does sound like someone who's forcing himself to change, you know, from his kind of sporting mindset now that he's left it.
Yeah, you can't compare winning the Rugby World Cup to emptying the dishwasher, like. That's what it is, isn't it, at one stage? You see them as tasks, daily tasks.
Meyler,
It's a bit much.
most talented opponent.
Now you're gonna like this. So I took a picture of this and sent it to my wife, and she says, "Please don't buy it."
Does she not realise?
So like, that is a winner right there. She thinks this is your artwork.
Can you please clear that up, Stu?
I have.
A lot of pressure.
Very good.
Sorry, Rory, what were you saying there?
No, I was putting the same question to Meyler. Although I think it's hard because, I don't know about you, but Gaelic, maybe it's because we're still playing, but Gaelic people find it quite hard to compliment each other. Do you not think so?
At times, yes. No, I do. But I think it's pretty easy for me there to play against Kerry, Sean O'Shea, David Clifford. They're just freaks. They are. They're awesome. That's playing against, playing with. See Conor Meyler, what he can do. At times, is also scary. And the thought that he could get better for Tyrone, like, it's pretty frightening.
You wouldn't think of going away and playing in the AFL, is it? In Australia?
I've never been asked, so it's not
If you were asked.
If I was asked, I would definitely have to consider it. No Cal went over.
Because financially it's beneficial, or because you actually enjoy the sport?
Not financially at all, to be honest. I actually enjoy watching it, and I do get a kick from it, but it's more like just that mindset I have of, I want to see how good I am against others. So even at that, I'd still probably compare like
Your
times,
fitness levels and all, like going out there and seeing what them boys are doing.
Literally, like, you know, I want to know what their Bronco times are, or 3K times, or 1K times are, so I can try and beat it. Like,
Oh, do you not hold the record for the Bronco?
I think I have it
Tyrone?
in Tyrone, and I have it, yeah. I actually had in my head during lockdown, I did it a couple of times. I'd seen Hugo Keenan, Joe Daddy had posted his time, and it was freaky.
Was it?
And I was like, you know what, give me 3 weeks, I'm going to try and beat that.
Did you beat it?
Nah. So Hugo's still the man, but that's the way
But is that
I
not
am too. Like,
because, would that more be because of his acceleration, like, maybe? Rather than his
I suppose even like, if it was any longer, it would probably suit me, yeah.
That's what I mean.
You know, it's that shorter distance, only 1.2k in total. But all cutting and turning as well with it. But I just like that idea of pushing myself against other people, kind of when odds are against you and you want to try and prove people wrong in a sense, and prove yourself right to show that you are capable. So I'd love to go over and see that there.
See what them boys are at.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. Like,
do you ever have ambition of playing in other sports?
I signed a contract for a team in Japan called the Coca-Cola Red Sparks. Back, but I'd hurt myself at the time, so like I was fighting to get fit, and then that wasn't happening. So the contract, I couldn't fulfill the contract, so I ended up not going. But I would have been playing out there, 8-month contract, earning good money, and it wasn't just the money. It was the actual team that I was going to play for. I was in a place called Fukuoka, which is on the coast, so like a real good like beaches, and you know, you weren't stuck in a city in a shoebox of an apartment. That would have been a real good place to go and live for a while.
Yeah.
And a good base to then jump around Japan and see what the country's like.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you get a chance to go to Tokyo for the World Cup?
No, I didn't. No, I was working in Dublin for it.
What was your best sporting moment?
Jeez. Probably playing for the Lions, 2009. Good fun, like. Again, like 2009, I don't, it was a little bit amateurish. Like, we were still going out after every game and having a few beers. And, you know yourselves, the best way to get to know somebody is going out and having a pint with them, like, and they kind of let down the barriers. And when you know someone, then it's a lot easier to trust them. Like, and that's the whole thing about rugby, like, it's trusting your teammate that he's going to make his tackle or he's going to make a bust or whatever. So 09 was great fun. Like, I injured myself like just before the first test, but even at that, like, it was great crack. Like. And the rugby was a very high standard. We were playing against South Africa, who World Cup champions, who were firing on all cylinders, like Victor Matfield, Backy's Botha, John Smith, the Beast, playing for them. Rousseau, remember that collision where in the second test where Brian O'Driscoll hit the guy Rousseau and he hit him high and they both clashed heads accidentally and they're both just walking around like didn't know where they were, and the guy Rousseau just like fell over like somebody had been felling trees. It's just like looking at it going, wow.
Are they as physical as like everyone makes it out to be? You know, in media and I'd say like, be like, whoa, you're playing South Africa here, like it's going to be physical.
That's talked about as the most physical test match ever played, that second test.
And
Thank God I wasn't playing.
But see, in those physical games, like sometimes when you're watching it on TV and you see the big collisions, but then boys get up and they play on and you're like, alright, it mustn't have been that bad. It's bad, like, is it?
Sometimes, like, you know yourself, you can get hit really hard and the way the impact hits you, it's like maybe takes the wind out of you, and then you, like as I was chatting about earlier against Ironi, like a few lads fell into me and I wasn't expecting it, and that was 100 times more painful. So like it's a strange old game, and that comes down to technique and practice, and thankfully in rugby, like they're lowering the tackle height. You know, any head collisions you're off for an assessment, and it's much better, like the way it's being policed. Meyler? Sorry, Picasso, what's happening?
I've wrecked it. I try and slow it
Look at this.
Completely wrecked it. I don't know what all this is about, but what do you think?
It's good.
That was an absolute lie. There's no way. Right, I'm saying. I'm trying to say it now, but
No, it's
I don't know what this happened here.
Why is the crane in the sea?
I was thinking the exact same
Can we start this again? This whole thing? I'm done, like.
Your grass is better than mine, like.
Who?
The yours looks more like the photo. That's good there, like.
That's the whole point of the exercise, man. I would see the way I was doing the Ruairi there about leaving a gap like around it, which is I
know what you mean. I'll wrap this up here.
hit you another question here. What's the craziest thing to happen during tour days
Craziest thing to happen during tour days.
that you're allowed to talk about?
The important part.
You can ask Meyler that one.
I'm still playing, so
Legally obliged
Tight-lipped.
to disclose.
Tight-lipped.
The super injunction still in place.
So we're at 2011 World Cup. We've maybe told this story a few times over the years. We're in a pub in Queenstown, New Zealand, partying like mad, and we're beating the USA on the Saturday. So say this was Tuesday or Wednesday, but we had like 10 days or something until we played Australia. So it was a good idea to go out and get absolutely rode off. So we went out, Jimmy Heaslip, Sean O'Brien, Jordan Murphy, Bestie, a load of other boys in this pub, and it was very busy, and there was a lot of people in there taking photographs and all sorts, and the barman comes up to me and he sort of like looks at me and like sort of gives me the eye like, what the hell's going on here? And he's like, big man. What? And he says, if you take your top off, I'll give your lads free drink all night. And before he finished night, I had the top off. And I was in much better shape back then as well, so I didn't mind doing it. And we were partying away, and the next thing there was cameras, people taking photographs. So I was alright, good night, brilliant crack, boys got free drink. Played Australia. And a couple of days before we played Australia, it was in the press that England were out in Queenstown, New Zealand, and they were throwing midgets in some bar or something, right? And it was all crack anyway. Of course, their media jumped all over it, and the Irish, you know, they got off to a winning start. They went to Queenstown, didn't get up to any mischief. Lo and behold, a newspaper in England had the photograph of me with my top off, and like all their lads with their arms around girls or whatever, and they were going to release this the morning of us getting beaten by Australia. So I go into the change room, sitting there in the change room. We had just beaten Australia, and the general manager, a guy called Paul McNaughton, came up to me, and he sat down beside me and he got his phone out, obviously the time difference. So like we're sitting at 10 o'clock at night, it's what, 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning in the UK, and there's the pictures of all us boys out in Queenstown, and it said Irish rugby in disarray after, you know, going down to the Aussies or something.
Yeah.
But we actually won the match, and they printed the newspaper, and he came up to me and he was like, Stevie, you are so lucky. See, if we had lost this game, you are so lucky. So then it was all over the press that I was an absolute legend. That I went out on the piss 10 days before with all the rugby lads, got them free drink all night, got my top off, played really well, and that was the game where I lifted the Aussie scrum half, Will Genia.
yes,
And
carry on.
carried him back. And the English press had printed that the Irish were just trying to deflect some of the attention off the English media. So it was good old crack. With Paul McNaughton was like, don't be going out this week. Playing against Wales in the quarter-final. But those were the days, like, you know, those were the days where
Different now.
it's just completely different.
But like when you look back in your career too, you remember those things. Like time like those nights out and the camaraderie and that you build doing that too, like.
Mates for life, like too.
Aye.
You know yourself, like both of you can kind of, in sport, you can kind of look across the room and catch somebody's eye that you know has played rugby or played Gaelic football or whatever, and there's almost straight away there's like a level of respect.
Yeah.
Like even just by looking across,
Yeah.
and you don't even know the person, like
Shared experience.
yeah. I thought Meyler had finished, like he's still going, like.
Right, Stephen, if there was a transfer market for international rugby players, what three would you go out and sign?
For who? For Ulster?
For Ulster.
I'll go with an out half, like, so the way Ulster want to play, I'd probably sign Finn Russell, out half. quality player, good lad, likes to have a beer, relaxed, seems to fit into a good team environment. So yeah, him. An absolute beast of a second row. Well, Ulster signed Wayne Vermeulen, like, and he probably would have been one of the players that I would have signed, like, out of that top three. And he's coming to Ulster not so long, a couple of months' time. So we'll see him. Class player. Sam Whitelock maybe in the second row. Or a big massive prop. Somebody like Stephen Kitskoff of South Africa. Somebody like that. So yeah. They would help Ulster a long way to winning some silverware this season.
Yeah.
You not Felix?
Nah. I've sort of the main colours down, but then there's just details I want to do. I'd probably work at this for like another hour.
As soon as we leave, he's like,
Yeah.
here we go.
I'll do. Yeah, give us a wee bit of like build up to it. Okay. How you were feeling at the start, middle, dejection at the end. Wiggle it, wiggle it. Just yank it up. Yeah. There you go.
The big reveal. This is what I tried to paint. This is what I actually painted.
Well done.
Right. You can put a round of applause sound effect there.
Give me a sound effect. Yeah. To explain what I tried to do, went with the background first. Realised I'd left so many white blotches that I tried to fill it in here. This is meant to be the front part. Grass is going all over the place. The yellow for the Heart and the Wolf, which I'm pretty happy about actually. And I'm not sure what's really going on down here, but it's done. I'm happy.
Well done.
Yeah.
The big reveal for me is this. And yeah, it's the first time I've painted or drawn anything, and honestly, coming up 20 years, like, I'd say 20 years since I lifted a pencil and actually sketched anything, so I'm happy with the way it's turned out. I think a couple of more lessons we could get it a little bit better, but I started off with it, went slightly differently. Started off with the cranes, and the cranes for me are actually probably the only thing that's particularly good about it. Everything else is sort of just blobbed in there, but thoroughly enjoyed it, and yeah, there we go. What exploded in the water in yours, man?
There's a tsunami coming there in the background.
Yeah, that's nuclear bomb just went off. Like a drone right hand there just.
See that?
Yeah.
Is that the photo too, yeah?
Huh?
Is that the photo as well?
That's, yeah, somewhere in there. Don't think I'll be making much money from that one, but